In this video, we are doing a website review for Nedu Care Foundation, a charity based in Nigeria who support kids with health, well-being and education. So let's get into it. G'day, Paul from Small Crowd Productions here. Welcome back to the channel. This is the Business of Art, where we look at the tips, tools and strategies that we need to build a business around our creative work. Now, today is a little bit different because I'm actually responding to a request for some feedback from Nedu Care Foundation, a Nigerian charity. So this is not an arts org, it's not an arts organisation, they're not artists, but the feedback really is relevant for all of us that are running any kind of entity or business. And so I'm hoping it's still going to be something of value to you if you're watching this. But this specifically will be looking at their website and providing some feedback based on the structure and the wireframe structure from Marketing Made Simple by the Story Brand team. Without any further ado, let's take a look at the website. Firstly, I want to say it's a great looking website from a technical point of view, WordPress site using Elementor to build it. That gives you a lot of design options, which is fantastic. The theme that you've chosen works for what you're doing. I think it looks fine. I love that when you come to the site on the front page, the first thing you see is a couple of kids smiling, happy, enjoying themselves, and we get a sense of the joy that is in the community, despite what you see around it with this sense of poverty that they're living in. So already I'm seeing both the positive and the negative impacts of the environment, which is fantastic. So for me, that's great. The kids are engaging, and it's just, it's always great seeing happy, smiley kids. And I think that was some of the feedback that I wanted to give you, was that you want to focus on the outcomes, that side of it, where that your donation will help these kids be happier and have a better life. So the Story Brand framework, the Marketing Made Simple framework, suggests that people generally will look at the website from left to right in a Z pattern, or down first and then across in an F or an E pattern. Now, the thing that they recommend is to make your call to action, which for you is your donate button, really stand out. And what's great is that this has increased in size since the last time I was on the website. So it's a much cleaner looking button. It's much bigger, which I think is fantastic. The thing I would love to see is when you hover over it, you've got that cursor hover effect where the button turns green. I would suggest actually making the primary color of the button that green. And if you want to give it a different look, hover it to a different color. If you look at it without the cursor, it's almost like another menu item. But if that was permanently green, that's going to really pop off the screen. And I think that would really help. So my first suggestion would be to change the color of that button so that it's always green, and then the hover effect makes it a different color. This first section, what we call above the fold, this first section that we see before we scroll is your header section. Now, again, you've got a great little video. It's quick to load, which is fantastic. So it's not stalling. This is a simple video clip that's happy, smiley kids. We're getting a sense of the environment they live in. But here is where you want to write something that really clearly defines what it is that you do. In the center, we've got a statement here that says there is something everyone can do. So what is it that you've set out to do? What's the vision? What's the organizational ethos? What is it that you're actually going to do? You're not just doing something that everyone can be a part of. You are specifically doing this thing. So really think about what that is. You've got a little bit of that embedded here on your Who We Are page. So what do? There are a million things we could do. However, we can't tackle them all at once. That is absolutely true. I don't know that I would worry about putting that on your website. Then we get to the heart of it. We are prioritized on the children rising, providing food and education to build a life of worth. Now, again, pretty general kind of statement. What does it mean to have a life of worth? Does that mean that only kids who have education and food are worthy? What are they worthy of? Aren't all children worthy of having a good life? So it's still very unclear what the outcome is going to be. Basically, what I can see here is that you're providing food, education to children. So I would take that, because people can connect to that. I would take that and put it on the front page. Maybe the one-liner is providing health, well-being and education to Nigerian kids. If we go back to the front page. So there is something everyone can do. Absolutely there is. But that doesn't tell me what you're doing. It doesn't tell me what you want me to do and how I can help. So a statement on there that said providing health, well-being and education to Nigerian kids in need. Very clear, understand who you're working for, who you're supporting, and where the money I donate is going to go. So that, for me, as a person coming to the website, helps me understand already. Boom, I know what you're doing. You're providing those things to Nigerian kids in need. Awesome. So that's the header. And then the other thing that they suggest that you have on the header is a secondary call to action at the bottom of your header section. So right here before this fold, before that scroll point, put another big donate button right there. The same color and the same shape as the one in the top corner. So that is consistent across the website. So that you've gone across the top here, you've seen donate, we see what you're about, and there's a chance to donate. Because there might be some people who go, yeah, I want to provide health, well-being and education to kids in Nigeria. I think that's a really worthy cause. Boom, I'm going to donate now. So then let's scroll down. So again, you've got the parallax stuff happening with this where it reveals images. These photos are lovely. These kids are gorgeous. So, you know, they're smiling. They really make me feel good about being on the website. And that's awesome. I'm going to be interested and pleased to come back to this website because it makes me feel good, and that's great. This second section is actually where you want to put your stakes. And the stakes are a definition and a clarity around what it is that you're fighting. What's going to happen if you don't take this stand? What's going to happen if we don't get involved and help you fight this fight? Now, what you've got here at the moment is a statement about your care. Our desire is to provide a healthy living system to every less privileged child and education that will better their lives. That's kind of almost your one-liner. So that should be up in the top header section. So if you flipped that and put that up in the top, even that's going to be a better start. So that the minute I hit the website, I get a better clarity about what you're trying to do. But still probably could be clearer. And I think, you know, what we talked about before could be a simple way to say that. But in here, what you want to do is show us what it is that you're fighting against. So this is talking about the poverty and the lack of education. There are some really interesting things that I picked up just through a couple of web searches that, you know, could be interesting stuff to put in there. One of them was that Nigeria is 8th last in the world on the 2021 Human Development Index. So that's a little bit of information that's pulled from an international reputable website that is about placing Nigeria in the world, in a position in the world that is very, very low to the bottom for human development, which is absolute gold when you consider how that supports the argument that you're making. I would think about what the Western world earns in a week, a fortnight, or a month, and think about how often those pay cycles are. The majority of people are probably paid fortnightly. So if the average family in America is living on X number of dollars, but the average family in Nigeria is living only on this many dollars. So you can position it that way. While you're talking about the stakes, make sure that you go a little bit deeper. Don't just stick with, you know, the kids will go hungry, the kids won't get education. What are the impacts of those things? The fact that while the kids are having to think about getting food, it means they're not being able to put more focus on their education. If they can't focus on their education, that means that they can't make a better life for themselves. They're not going to grow up into adults who are able to adapt and take on the world with that knowledge and that freedom that knowledge brings. So what are the bigger impacts and the bigger implications of the kids not being able to have food and not being able to have education? So to wrap up, section 2 is the stakes. What is at risk if people don't get involved and help out? Okay, the third section now is the value proposition. So we've talked about the basic premise of what you're trying to achieve. We've seen the stakes and what it's going to mean if we don't get there. And now we flip it back again and talk about what's going to happen if you do get on board and the value proposition of helping out the kids and as a donor, what's in it for you. So here is where you can start to talk about some of those emotive feelings and some of those benefits that you're going to bring to the kids. And really, again, I would focus on the outcomes that you are going to be able to create based on the donations that you receive. So you may have already got some stats about number of breakfasts or meals provided. It might be the number of school books or stationery items or the number of kids that you've purchased school supplies for. I would think about whatever it is that you can put in here that kind of maximizes the value of what has already been achieved. Maybe you can find some research from some of the other big players like the Red Cross and World Vision and some of those other organizations that maybe have already done some research that actually relates to the type of work that you do and shows the benefits that, this is the type of life that a kid will have based on the fact that people donated and supported them when they were children. So I'd be looking for those kinds of things that really show the value proposition and how that's going to be something that affects me as the donor for actually supporting you. One of the things that I like here is that you've actually got this statement about we're powerful together. We form full force when we unite together. Everything we ever achieved today was through your great support. I love that idea that essentially what you're trying to do is bring people into a sense of community, that, people like us do things like this, as Seth Godin says. So I think that sense of creating that group mindset, that there are other people that do this, and this is what you're going to get out of it. I think the other thing that you can do is really focus on the outcomes that you have provided here. What are the benefits that have already been done? So these donations have helped us already provide this many meals and this much school supplies for this many children, because that helps me see the value in my donation. So there's a few different things that you can put in here, but essentially you want to really maximize the value that is created by somebody donating. And you can do that equivalent, that $50 would buy you this in the United States, but here it provides this many meals for a family for a month. So find a way to really highlight that value that's created by somebody donating to you. So the thing to remember with this page is to use both empathy and authority, that we know what it's like to see children who need to be helped, or we know what it's like to want to help a child succeed. And we're lucky enough that we get to be here on the ground doing it. You can have that same feeling by donating. So the next section after that is for you to position yourself as the guide, but I think you can probably do that through that section as well. And then you've got the junk drawer at the bottom here, which is what the Story Brand guys call the junk drawer, which is just all your links to everywhere else. And that's perfect. So, I think the basic layout here is great. You're on the right track, but I think you just need to get a lot clearer about the language that you're using and the specific nature of what you're saying. So the other thing I would look at is when you're pulling that information to that front page around the work that you're raising money for, is get really specific about what you're fundraising for this year. You're always going to need money to provide health and well-being and education, but what are your goals for this year? Lay them out in a project in some way. So in our health and well-being area, we're looking to provide 1,000 meals a month, and that costs this much. In our education project, we're looking to buy the school bus, and that costs this much. Or we're looking to provide educational resources, books, pencils, stationery for this many children, and that costs this much. Or we're looking to set up a computer station so that all of our kids have access to online resources, and we need 12 computers, and it's going to cost this much, and then the upkeep in electricity and internet fees will be this much per month. So we're looking to do that and have enough money there to provide that for the next 2 years. So that sets a dollar figure. So be really specific about what you're raising funds for this year, so that people can get involved and invested in a really specific project that they can get behind. And that's going to help them see, I did that. I helped make that thing happen. Because then next year, you're just going to do a different project, and that gives them something else to look at and might build on the last project. So making it really easy and clear for people to see something specific as an outcome for the donation that they make. I'd get that on that front page as well, and probably underneath that third section. And again, put another donate button there, or if that's split into 2 sections on that third, fourth section, if that's in 2 columns and you've got health and well-being on one side and education on the other, that there is a specific button that leads to be able to donate to both of those. So I'd have a look at that. The other thing that you don't have that I really would recommend you think about is a lead magnet. Find something that you can give away in exchange for an email address. So you're going to have a bunch of potential donors come across the website at some point. They're not ready to donate just yet. And so because the only option they have is to hit that donate button, they leave without taking any action. So you want something in the middle ground that gets them into your ecosystem on your email list, that lets you know that they are a potential donor in the future. So you could create a pop-up that appears on the website after 10 seconds that says download our latest outcomes report, or download our profile of the community and the kids, or something that a potential donor would be interested in reading to understand more about what it is that you do or what their donation will do. Or maybe you are alluding a little bit to the projects that you are doing, and maybe they're deeper in your website, but you could provide them in a more detailed project plan that someone can download as a PDF and actually see in more detail what it is you're doing, how you're approaching it, and that kind of thing. And that now gives you the opportunity to communicate with them once a month about your progress and where you're at, and show them the runs on the board over time. And then eventually that person may become a donor for you. So I would really, really recommend that you do that as well. So far in video 1, we talked about digging deeper in with your donors. And for us, that's customers. Anybody else in a business sense, that's customers or audience. We've talked about the website a little bit. We can all benefit from looking at our website in that way. The third video, which I'll link up here as soon as it's done, will be about attention. And we'll dig into that a little bit more. So I'll see you in the next video.